Before you continue watching, if you understand that the real wars are fought over resources while the world watches the headlines, subscribe now and hit the notification bell. This channel is where we decode the strategies the mainstream media is too afraid to touch. Join our community of the prepared. 48 hours ago, a series of diplomatic and economic maneuvers took place in the frozen corridors of the North that should make every American investor and taxpayer sit up straight. While the world was distracted by domestic scandals, Canada quietly executed a strategic checkmate in the Arctic that didn't just stall a presidency. It signaled the end of a century of undisputed American dominance over the Western Hemisphere's most vital frontier. You see, when Donald Trump looked at Greenland, he saw a real estate deal. He saw a legacy. But when Canada looked at the same map, they saw a vulnerability. Now, here is the part that matters. This isn't just about a failed land purchase or a diplomatic snub. This is the first visible crack in the Arctic's status quo. It is the moment where the rules of northern sovereignty were rewritten without a single shot being fired. In the next few minutes, I am going to show you a three-stage geopolitical machine that is currently grinding the old world map into dust. You need to understand what is happening right now, quietly, while most people scroll past the signals of the Great Northern Divorce. Because the Arctic isn't just a block of ice, it is a $30 trillion vault of rare earth minerals, oil, and the future of global shipping. And when the vault door starts to jam, the people holding the keys aren't who you think they are. If you think the map on your wall is accurate, you have already lost the game. The humiliation in Greenland wasn't a mistake. It was a demonstration of a new reality, where American ambition meets the hard wall of a coordinated Arctic resistance. The question isn't whether the map will change. The real question is, when the ice melts and the new borders are drawn, will you be living in a superpower or in a nation that was outmaneuvered by its own neighbor? Keep that thought because it connects directly to the financial gravity pulling the entire Western world toward a destination most are not prepared for. To understand the humiliation, you first have to understand the gravity of what is buried beneath the permafrost and why the American strategy just hit a dead end. In the beginning, every major geopolitical regime starts with a clear hierarchy. For decades, the Arctic was an American lake, managed through NATO and the quiet compliance of its neighbors. This was stage one. The system works. Trust was earned because the U.S. provided the security umbrella and the capital. But then came the stretch. As global debt crossed $300 trillion and traditional resources began to dwindle, the major powers began to leverage their future on the last untapped frontier. This is where the machine began to strain. The American strategy shifted from cooperation to acquisition. Trump's proposal to buy Greenland wasn't a joke. It was a desperate move to collateralize the future against a mountain of paper promises. But here is where the machine broke. Canada, a nation often overlooked in the shadow of the American giant, realized that the promises of the old system were bigger than the ability to deliver. They saw the U.S. attempting to rewrite the rules of Arctic ownership unilaterally, and they chose to act. They didn't use soldiers, they used the legal and administrative infrastructure of the North. By strengthening alliances with the indigenous councils and leveraging their own historical claims to the Northwest Passage, Ottawa created a strategic friction that the Trump administration's real estate approach couldn't calculate. This is stage two. The system strains and cracks. This is when enough smart people quietly realize that the old hegemon is trying to pay for today's crises with tomorrow's stolen assets. The humiliation wasn't just the no from Denmark or the resistance from Nuuk. The real humiliation was the discovery that Canada had already built a secondary network of influence that made the American offer look archaic. In the English-speaking world, we are taught to see our history as a series of inevitable American victories. But the history of the 21st century is being written by those who understand the spreadsheet version of war. This is the point where the promises of Arctic security start getting questioned and the physical reality of resource control starts getting scarce. The authorities in Washington can't fix this stage by printing more money. They can only decide who wins and who loses in the next reset. And right now, the rules are being rewritten by those who stayed quiet while the giant was shouting. In every historical blueprint, from the collapse of the British pound to the fall of the Roman denarius, there is a moment where the frontier becomes too expensive to hold. We are watching that moment in real time. The American public thinks this is about diplomacy, but the financial plumbing behind the Arctic tells a different story. If holding and defending the North becomes a balance sheet headache, the institutions don't need a secret plan. They just exit quietly, leaving the gates open for those who prepared for the change. You are watching a redistribution of the world's most valuable real estate, and it is happening through the very institutions we were told would protect us. Now we reach stage 3, the outcome. This is what the public always gets wrong. They expect a dramatic announcement, a siren, or a visible invasion. That is not how a modern power shift works. It happens through 3 boring steps that create a new reality. Step 1 is the redefinition of access. Just as South Korean banks recently halted silver sales to manage a rush, the gatekeepers of the North are beginning to restrict who can participate in the Arctic economy. New environmental regulations, shipping permits, and sovereignty claims are being used as weapons to gatekeep the wealth. Step 2 is the synchronization of enforcement. Land registries, maritime authorities, and international courts are aligning against the old American unilateralism. Step 3 is the narrative warfare. The media will tell you the Arctic is a wasteland or a climate tragedy, while the institutions are quietly securing the minerals that will power the next century. The window to secure your position in the new global map doesn't close with a countdown. It closes at the exact moment the crowd finally realizes the move is real. By the time the headlines admit that Canada and a new northern coalition have effectively sidelined the U.S. in the Greenland theater, the best pricing and the easiest access to the future's resources will be gone. If that creates a sense of urgency in your gut, that is a rational response. It means you recognize what stage the machine is in. We are late in the pattern. The humiliation in Greenland was a signal fire, warning us that the default setting of American supremacy is no longer the law of the land. Flags don't matter. Technology doesn't matter. Only the ability to settle and possess the real assets of the future matters. The people who get crushed are the ones who assume the old rules last forever. Don't be one of them. The Greenland humiliation was the first chapter of a new book, and you need to be the one reading it, not the one written out of it. We are moving from a world of paper promises to a world of physical possession, and the North is the ultimate prize. If you want to stay ahead of the next move and see exactly how the administrative machine is expanding to lock you out of the new economy, you need to stay tuned. We are going deeper into the mechanics of the Arctic choke points in our next analysis. Make sure you have subscribed and liked this video to signal to the algorithm that you value truth over propaganda. Your ability to adapt depends on your ability to see the machine before it sees you. Don't let the map be redrawn without you. Thank you for watching and stay vigilant.